That's annoying. Right, so everybody, welcome back to a brand new lesson. We are back out on the golf course and it feels so good to be out here. And today I'm going to stop you from duffing your chip. So I've got two golf balls here, one placed in the semi-rough and about 2 feet just to the side of it. I've got another golf ball on a tightly cut fringe. Now, I would imagine, even though these are so close, this one on the fringe is going to put the fear of God in some people. It is not the shot we want, especially when we've got a little bit of an elevation going up onto the green and then on towards the flag. But as soon as we get to the one that is sat in the semi-rough and as we place the club in behind it here, we feel comfortable. We don't feel like we need to help the ball up in the air. It feels like it's sat on a bit of a tee peg and we're just going to allow the loft of the club to do the work for us. So why is it so different when we get just that couple of feet away that all of a sudden we start changing things? And there's a couple of reasons for that, and I'm going to take you through those right now. And there's three things that are going to change, and they affect one thing, and these three things, like I say, are going to have this big influence on our attack angle. Because when I've got a ball that is in the semi-rough and as I place my club behind it, it sort of hovers up to the middle of the club face here. So you place it in and it's sat under, and I feel like I've got a little bit of a tee peg, a little bit of a buffer there that I don't have to let the club go digging underneath the golf ball to get it up in the air. I know that if it just slides along this turf now, I've got the loft and this little bit of grass that are going to do the work for me. When I'm on the tight-knit turf here, it doesn't feel like there's much room in between the ball and the ground. It feels like it's very much snug and hugging to it, and I've really got to do everything I can to make it get up in the air. So what I would start to do with this then is affect how I actually address the golf ball, because I feel like I have to make ball first contact. I have to really get a good contact on that golf ball. So what I end up doing is placing the ball more towards the back of my stance here, so towards my trail foot. And then secondly, what that would affect now would be the amount of shaft lean I would have, because what tends to happen when we place the ball towards our trail foot, we wouldn't have our hands behind the golf ball like so, because that would feel odd. It just wouldn't feel right. It doesn't feel like I can get to the golf ball here. So what I would start to do is now place my hands more forward. So we see now the shaft leaning more towards my target. And what that thirdly does then is take all the bounce out of the equation. It makes that leading edge go forwards and become very much like a sharp spade, and it's going to dig towards the turf as I'm getting in, which isn't going to be ideal, because unless I trap that absolutely perfectly, I'm not going to get the good strike. And also what I've done when I've leant my hands forwards, I've taken all the loft off the club. So from this angle here, as I would hit it, what we would see is something that comes out really flat. And if I'm trying to play a bit of a soft running chip or pitch, I know that I need loft. So why does it then get different when I get to the one that I have a little bit of a cushion? Well, that's exactly it. I've got a cushion underneath. I don't feel like I have to get this perfect strike on the golf ball that as I hit it, it has to be absolutely dead flush out of the centre, timing it at the right speed, because I've actually got this little bit of fluffy grass as we see as the club goes in. I can actually just feel that I'm almost going underneath the golf ball and letting the rough pop it up a little bit. So as I play this one here, my setup would now change. I would get the one that the ball now is more towards the centre of my stance. So I've not got it off my back foot like we saw for the one over there a moment ago. I would play it more towards the middle, because like I say again, I've got this little bit of turf underneath that I know is acting as a cushion. So by playing it more towards the centre, I now no longer need to lean my hands as far forwards. They actually feel pretty level with the golf ball or just slightly in front, which then thirdly means that that leading edge now isn't acting as the spade, and I can just start to brush it underneath the golf ball. So if I just chip this one off here with this little bit of a cushion, not a bad little shot that, pitched out we see, or it float out high, lands and has a little bit of run. And I've got a nice little divot there. It didn't feel like I had to do anything to get the ball up in the air because I had that little bit of a cushion. So if you're someone who is duffing your chips, what we've got to try and do is imagine that we're off a little bit of the fluffy lie. We've got to try and adopt the same principles. Don't get panicky about the strike and start to think, right, I've really got to make sure I trap this golf ball, get it really far back in my stance, have this very steep angle and start digging down into the golf ball. Imagine now that you're back in this little bit of semi-rough and we're starting to just let the club brush and let the loft of the club do the work for us, because that is the key thing. You've got a lot of loft on your wedges, let the bounce brush the floor and we should start to see that we can chip them up. So when we do get to a normal chip in a pitch, let's not play it like we used to, like we were told to in the olden days, as it were. Back off your trail foot, lots of shaft lean and digging down. We actually want to play it more neutral now in our stance, so more towards the middle. We want to see that we've got very minimal shaft lean, and I want to feel now that I'm almost just wiping the club across the floor and let the tempo of the swing and the loft just gather the ball up and send it out. So as I go through here, let's see if I can get this away. We'll take that one, it's about 3 inches from the hole. Doesn't come out as high obviously as well because I am off that tighter turf, so I'm not getting as much loft underneath the golf ball. But what I was able to do was just trust my setup there and allow the loft of the golf club and allow that sweeping motion to get the ball up and let it run out there. So if you are duffing your chips, let's not get scared and try and trap the golf ball. Let's imagine it's on that nice little bit of semi-rough that's teed up and we're just going to sweep it off the rough each time. Almost feeling that you're just picking it off. You're not hitting down on it so much and duffing it steeply. We're just going to brush it and sweep it and let it pop up. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video this week. If you have, do hit that like button for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in your next lesson.